Friends of the Earth has been involved in looking at security issues as they relate to environment and degradation of natural resources for 20 years. And we worked closely with the World Watch Institute when in 1986 Lester Brown did the report on broadening and transforming the concept of national security to include basically all of the issues that make the planet livable. What happens to forests, to oceans, to farmland, to wetlands, the productivity. These he thought were central to the idea of security because humanity was consuming, abusing, polluting, destroying these, and that meant that people's means of living, their very subsistence, was at stake, and that you would get strife within a country and between countries as a result. What has happened then in the last 20 years is, as scientists have become more and more concerned that climate change is not only a reality but getting out of control, every one of the concerns that Lester Brown and others were raising is ever more transparent. And we're touching every corner of the planet with climate change, and that means people in all corners of the earth are being impacted, and primarily those who are least able to cope with it, namely the poor. They can't pick up and move or fly or jet set off to some other place or relocate easily. And so this is of concern. And you see then that the question of refugees and so forth is exacerbating worldwide, and that provokes then the blame the victim reaction that is happening now in the United States. But we should look back at root causes. Why are people trying to escape? They're trying to escape things that have compromised their very ability to get the next meal. And several of the things that have happened in climate change that were predicted by all the models are the multiplication of every kind of weather disaster, whether we're talking about floods or droughts or the flood-drought cycle, whether we're talking about more and intensive hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms, snowstorms, you name it.
Extreme weather. Extreme weather is more frequent.
Yeah. Extreme weather, and the insurance companies have noted that in 1 year they're getting as many of these as they used to get in an entire decade. And there are more people being impacted as a result. So of particular concern to Friends of the Earth is the flood-drought cycle. Because if your precipitation is coming down in a big event, and then you go for a drying section of time, then your land does not absorb the rainfall. And then you get runoff, then you get floods, and you've lessened the ability of that land to be productive. Then, if you look at what happens to, say, glaciers in the Himalayan mountains, 7 of the world's greatest rivers come out of those. If you melt that ice pack and so forth, the ability of rivers like the Mekong, the Yangtze, the Indus, the Ganges to support those populations will be dramatically diminished because the flows throughout the spring, summer, and fall will be frighteningly altered. So these are very, very urgent issues that need a solution. But fundamentally, what it suggests is that every one of these impacts is worsening tensions all over the place of many different kinds. So what I hope we can do in this series is to rely upon the expertise of people who are here, and from Paul Walker we have your great expertise on the legacy of the Cold War with chemical and nuclear weapons, and how we're spending money just to deal with that debacle, and how difficult it is, and yet the world seems intent on going forward with more. And Peter, with your work in Action Aid dealing with relief to the poor, you're pitted against the kind of of budgetary situations that in the United States is seeing even more money requested for the Defense Department and a shrinkage here of domestic programs and most likely a withdrawal of foreign aid in some significant way. So these are some of the connections we want to look at between security and climate. And then, having explored those, the second part, I hope we will be able to look at, given our understanding, what are the best things that can be done? What, as experts, you would recommend, Paul, in terms of the Cold War legacy and how we can avoid creating more of the nature of that legacy?
Another Cold War.
And Peter, given your understanding of development aid, the problems you see and what's happening, where we ought to go. Now, and in two, we can think of recommendations maybe in two parts. One is what the U.S. and its agencies should be doing, and then what internationally could be done with the global institutions, organizations, treaties, and the like. So with that, I think we're underway with the discussion.